Hi guys, it's Villain Theory, which I guess is kind of a funny name for someone reviewing a hero shooter, but I think it works on a couple of levels. What is Marvel Rivals? It's a 6 vs 6, team-based PvP game. I think they advertise it. You shoot at each other and you have heroic abilities. And it's often compared to Overwatch, which we're going to talk about a lot. In terms of where I'm coming from with this, I'm not a pro player. I'm not claiming to be. I'm not, top ranked, super elite. But I have, made it up the ranks, and it says I'm in the top 6%, which makes me think I'm pretty competent, but I'm, again, by no means a pro. So hopefully this is coming from kind of a relatable place, and my perspective is, thus. But the game is, I'm going to say, just straight off the bat, pretty good. And I think if you haven't checked it out yet and you're wondering if you should pick it up, you kind of don't have any reason not to just give it a try, because it is free to play, and all 33 characters, which is hugely ambitious for a launch, by the way, 33 characters, they're all free to play, unlocked from the get-go. All characters are always going to be unlocked. That is what they have said. So every new character you also get access to, which is huge. I actually really like that business model. And what you pay for, which I guess keeps the game afloat, is cosmetics. I'm talking skins, sprays, MVP animation, mostly skins. And let's face it, mostly Wolverine's, Deadpool movie tie-in skin is where they're making the big bucks. So it's a fun kind of a team-based online game. If you like Overwatch, you're going to love this game, is kind of my initial opinion, but we can talk about it a bit more. Overwatch is very similar to Marvel Rivals, but something that I think sets Marvel Rivals apart is its third person, which I know a lot of people are like, oh, third person, I've heard that quite a bit, I think from people who play other games in the genre, but it works really well for this game. I don't think this game would work otherwise. So a lot of, I will say for Overwatch, it's maybe a bit more precision-based in terms of shooting, whereas Marvel Rivals focuses on the hero part of hero shooter a little bit more. A lot of heroic abilities, blasts, swinging around, webbing, and all different kind of things are going on. So it's more about ability management and movement positioning to me than Overwatch from my experience of Overwatch. But I'm not like an extensive hero shooter pro. But it's just my opinion here. But the third person really works with all the abilities, and the movement is maybe the biggest, most favorite part for me because the fights are never static. I hate it in a game when one team's at one end of the corridor and one team's at the other end of the corridor, and they're just shooting around like their respective corners, hoping to pick someone off. That's just incredibly boring to me. What I'd rather do is swing into battle, teleport in with a portal, fly around, but then the other team sees that and they're countering it. There's really interesting dynamic movement and counterplay and all these different things going on that makes the fight exciting. And even whether you're winning or losing, something is happening. It's very rarely stuck in a long deadlock, or you can just stand at one door and fire into their fortified position, but you probably could move, you could coordinate as a team a bit more. There's things you can do that make this game really fun. It's just destructive environments and changing maps. In some of the maps, if someone starts capturing the point moves. It might raise up or go down. Some of the ledges will change. In other maps, you can, shoot at something to extend a bridge or create a wall to block someone. You need third person to kind of track all this, I feel like, and it's really fun, really exciting. Maybe a little bit more chaotic than Overwatch to make that comparison, but it's really fun. I really, really like it. A very minor note is game length, but I think the game length in this game is perfect, typically between 5 and 10 minutes. Some, ranked games will go on a little bit longer, but it's really easy to jump in and play pretty much any mode. So, is Marvel Rivals an Overwatch clone? I don't really like that term. I think, Overwatch doesn't have the best reputation these days. I actually tried Overwatch for a couple of weeks before the Marvel Rivals beta that I played, and I was not really feeling it. I was like, oh, maybe the hero shooter isn't for me. Maybe I shouldn't get my hopes up for Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals turned out to be so much more fun in my opinion, at least than current day Overwatch, because original Overwatch was, I think, more fun, but Marvel Rivals for me is absolutely more fun than both from my personal experience. I love Marvel Rivals in comparison. So saying it's an Overwatch clone, kind of doing it a disservice, because with all that, movement, third person, environments, that are structurable, it's very different just in general. It won't play out the same in any kind of way. Now, the game modes are like domination or push the payload are kind of directly exactly what Overwatch has. But those game modes also came from Team Fortress 2 before it, which it was said to have been, copying. So, these games are all going to borrow from each other, iterate. It is very close, I would say. It's definitely heavily inspired by Overwatch, including several characters and character mechanics. Like, when Hulk is defeated, he goes into Bruce Banner. Very similar to when D.Va's defeated, she goes into, like, the D.Va pilot form. I think Overwatch's things they borrowed from Overwatch sometimes less fun than their own ideas, because Marvel Rivals is 90% its own ideas, and they're all really, really fun. Hawkeye's a little close to Hanzo. They're both kind of quite generic archers, really. Iron Man is quite close to Pharah. Magneto's close to Sigma. Starbuck's close to Tracer. Psylocke's close to Genji. Squirrel Go's kind of close to Junkrat. Those are the 6 that I think are kind of close. I'm not going to explain all of them. This isn't a character comparison video. But those 6 are pretty close. But aside from kind of like Hawkeye, I actually like all 5 of those other characters quite a lot. But most of the characters are very unique. We've got characters like Cloak and Dagger, which is, a healer in one form and kind of a damage in the other. Although the damage form, can blind enemies or it can cloak the team briefly. So it's kind of supporting the team in a different way, whereas the Dagger form is, healing. Very unique to switch between those, kind of manage that. That's really fun. Characters like Loki, who's kind of a stealth healer who creates clones, can swap between them. Moonlight bouncing all these attacks around, gliding, grappling, hook. There's just some really cool stuff. I love Groot, who raises these like wooden barriers out of the floor that can like block the enemy team's projectiles, protect your team a bit. But also, if you attack enemies near those barriers, the kind of vines kind of lash out from those barriers to hit enemies near them. So it kind of synergize with you attacking people near them as well. There's a lot of synergy going on, a lot of cool, interesting designs I haven't seen elsewhere. I would say, let's say, 25 plus of the 33 characters feel very unique to Marvel Rivals to me. That's kind of where I see things. So the game structure is very similar to Overwatch. A few character things are very similar. But the feel of the game, the movement of the game, just kind of how the game plays out and feels kind of like an upgrade to me. So I don't think you can call it a clone. They didn't just put Marvel skins over Overwatch characters. Although, like I say, a couple come a little close to that. But for the most part, they just took the ideas and did their own kind of thing in a, I think, slightly better way, which is really, really cool. The heroes, to talk about those more specifically, I mean, I just talked about a few I like. Also, like Captain America, jump in, throw your shield. He's got this thing with you, basic attack twice. If you use your primary fire, left click twice. The next 2 left clicks, instead of punching with the shield, you're throwing the shield. So punch, punch. Oh, the enemy runs away from you. You just throw it after them. It's really fun. He's got a lot of dynamic movement. I could, Winter Soldier as well, to talk about a character, kind of related to Captain America. He's got an actual firearm in this hero shooter, because most of the characters I've talked about don't. You shoot 3 times, and then you have to reload. But if you use one of his abilities, which are all tied to his bionic arm, it reloads for you. A lot of really fun character designs. There's really, out of the 33 characters, again, hugely ambitious for a new title launching. Out of those, there's only really 4 designs I'm not very, keen on. That'd be Squirrel Girl, who feels a bit like a simplified Junkrat. Hawkeye, who feels too close to Hanzo from Overwatch, but also he can one-shot you with these arrows, and nothing else much in this game one-shots you apart from alternate abilities. So you're just existing, trying to fight as best you can, and then this arrow will hit you randomly out of nowhere, and it's just, oh, I'm gone, I'm going to have to respawn. That is generally not how this game goes. It feels very out of place having played the beta and that. It feels kind of unwelcome in my opinion. It's not a fun mechanic. It probably takes a lot of accuracy, especially to do, consistently. I'm not saying it's not skillful, but it feels terrible to play against. He's the most banned character in competitive play. I've heard, the top 100 players, he's banned almost every game. And it's for good reason, because Hawkeye is very, very, very good and annoying. And his ultimate is really good. And I don't like playing against Hawkeye. But playing Hawkeye, good Hawkeye on your team, yeah, I love that. That means I'm probably going to win. Then we've got Black Widow. She's got like a sprint. She's got a kick. She can pull out her, sticks to hit people with. But basically, she's a very generic sniper. They didn't give her any of her cool comic book spy abilities. Her gauntlets don't shock or shoot anyone. Feel like that's a bit uninspired. Same for Punisher. He's kind of point and shoot. If you like kind of, typical shooting games, but you will like Punisher. I just feel like, in terms of Marvel Rivals, but, with these cool comic book characters, could have done a little bit more. I will say with 33 characters and a new title, there's a few balance problems, but very minor. Like, this actually feels really good compared to the beta, except maybe, stupid Hawkeye and there's a couple of little bits. Psylocke's ultimate, she's invincible, she hits everyone. I watched Necros, who's like a top 100 player. He was like top 1 in the Chinese beta, apparently. I was watching him play earlier today, and he used his ultimate to take out a couple of people, including Magneto, and he said that was funny, there was nothing he could do about it. That's not really interesting game design to me, because that's kind of, oh, they press this button and there's nothing they can do about it. It's what me and my little gaming group, when we play Marvel Rivals, say, oh, Psylocke pressed the win button. And later on, he won that round, Necros that is, by pressing his, win button, and he took out 5 of the 6 enemy players. I don't necessarily know that she needs an ability to, take out everyone in a big area. which makes her completely invincible while she's doing it, basically. And you can say, oh, stun her before that happens, but she can dash twice and turn invisible, so good luck stopping her if she doesn't want to be stopped. Star-Lord Stop's kind of annoying. Luna Snow's it's absolutely crazy. It's basically group-wide invincibility for 12 seconds. Jeff's ultimate, not as powerful as I first thought it was, but it makes me incredibly angry. But I think balance patches are coming. I'm going to fix this. And aside from really these few things, I think the game's in a really good spot. I think every character is very playable. It's not like, oh, you shouldn't pick this character, you're going to do terribly with him. I think there's a couple that could definitely use some love, but I don't think they're unplayable by any means. And aside from stupid Hawkeye, maybe Hala a little bit, she's a very good damage character. So pretty much you've got 90% of the heroes, I think, in a really, really good place, which is really, really fun. If you're a new player, I'd highly recommend Rocket as a healer, Punisher, Scarlet Witch, or Namor as damage, or maybe Magneto, Doctor Strange as a tank, maybe Hulk as well. I worry a little bit I focus too much on the negative in this video, because, I'm being quite specific about specific things, but generally, there's, like 30 plus characters with multiple abilities that I all really like, I think are all really fun. So the heroes I am really fond of. They do have team-up abilities as well, pretty much all of them, I think. And it's stuff like, if you have Thor and Captain America on the same team, Thor's lightning can power up Captain America's shield. It's a temporary kind of ability where his shield is, just always being thrown and electrifying, shocking everyone. And I have mixed feelings on the team-up abilities. They're really cool, really fun, but some characters get such a benefit from having the right character on their team, unlocking this team-up ability, that it feels like if you're not playing with that other character in your team, you're at a massive disadvantage. Your character's missing a chunk of them. Whereas other characters, the team-up ability feels more like, oh, I could get this little boost, but I don't need it to play this character and do well. Whereas other characters, it's like, oh, half my character's missing. A little bit of an exaggeration there, but not too much. Overall, I love the graphic style. I love the hero designs. I love the maps and how you can interact with them. I love that they're supporting the game as well. I've got Twitch drop, skins from that. There's sprays for a certain amount of people playing the game that you just get given. There's a winter event that's dropping today, and they promise lots of new maps and new heroes as we go through the season. The skins in this game are quite expensive, but the season pass was very reasonable, I thought, for what you get from it. So generally pretty happy with that kind of thing. I know a lot of people don't like the microtransaction kind of, thing, but it's a free-to-play game. That is the only thing that they're kind of asking for if you want to do it. And you don't have to do it. You can go become a pro-ranked player without paying for a single skin if you really go for it. You'll have access to every character straight away. So not really a criticism there from me. I do think the UI could use some improvements. Their abilities are kind of tiny in the corner. It's hard to track these abilities because, like I say, compared to Overwatch, I think this game has a bigger focus on abilities. There's just a few settings missing, like mouse acceleration, turning that off. But they've commented on that recently. We'll see how that goes. I like some more skins. I know they're holding some skins back. There's a old school Iron Man skin in the beta that I have there that is no longer in the game, so I think they're going to drop that probably in the next month or two, I have to imagine. But the biggest downside I could say for the game in general is that there is no role queue. If you've played Marvel Rivals, you will know that when you jump into a game, everyone, probably you as well, going to insta-lock DPS, what they call duelist in this game. And you kind of need at least a tank and ideally at least 2 healers, which they call specialists. Basically every game. Having a tank and 2 supports, 2 healers, makes a tremendous difference, but they are committed to saying, no, we want to break away from having tanks, healer, and support, a mandatory amount of each. I don't think having an exact amount of damage to tanks is too, much of a problem. If you have 2 tanks or 1 tank, it's fine. 2 DPS or 3 DPS, it's fine. But if you don't have at least 2 healers, your team is probably losing 9 times out of 10. And if you don't have a tank, it's also probably the case. You really need certain roles every game. And for some reason, there's like, 8 tanks, 7 supports, and there's like 17 DPS. So everyone just wants to play all these DPS characters. There's so many of them. But you do really, if you want to do well, if you want to have just a balanced good game, you kind of need to have a balanced team. And you can say, oh, I just got to play casual and quick match. But you're going to get a lot of one-sided matches if you queue up against enemies that have a good team. I play everything, but I am mainly tank and healer player only because I have to fill those roles. And if I don't fill them, I'm probably going to, I have got quite frustrated that, the enemy team have them and we're just getting stomped. And changing to those roles really does make a difference. So I'm on team role queue, give us role queue, or don't design your game in a way that actually supports having this, set amount of these roles to do well, because they absolutely have done that. But aside from the role queue thing, all those things are kind of minor. I love the heroes, love the maps. I really, really enjoy this game. It's so dynamic. The movement, I can't mention the movement enough, and all the things going on. It really grips me. So right now, 2 weeks in after launch, I'm giving the game an 8 out of 10. Pretty much everything is good, but a few ultimates and a couple of characters need a little bit of tuning. I think that will really increase the game in a significant way. Same with a few quality of life updates, in terms of the UI and different interface and menu things. I think, and options that'll make a big difference. But I think at launch, this is very respectable. I do expect that if I review this in 6 months' time, I'll give it a 9 out of 10 at least. That is at least my hope. Everything I've seen from the beta that they've been doing going forward makes me think they're on the right track. So yeah, I really, really enjoy it, and I highly recommend it. So I've been Villain Fury. You've been watching my channel, which normally talks about Marvel Champions, a nerdy card game. If this video does well, I will be making more videos like this. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more Marvel Rival stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.